You know, your top 25, a deeper dive with your top 25, it almost sounds like a ho-hum boring topic, but it truly is your acres of diamonds. And I'm always reminded of Earl Nightingale recounting this story when I was just getting started in my career. And it was called The Acres of Diamonds, and it was about a South African farmer who got caught up in the big diamond rush down there in South Africa, sold his farm, and invested all the money in his mining supplies, and for 2 years scoured South Africa, in a futile attempt to find diamonds. Ended up totally broke, despondent, and committed suicide. And shortly after his death, the largest diamond source was found in a little stream on his farm, which became the largest diamond mine in South Africa. And I look at your top clients with their 7 spheres of influence precisely that way, and it's really important for you to think of them that way. They have the 7 spheres of influence, and each of your affluent clients, if handled properly, should be a connector for you, and you need to be a connector for them. So, what we're going to talk about here today in our time on this webinar is really, how do we conduct a relationship audit? And then making sure we have an expectations conversation, because, trust is so fragile with today's affluent. They need to feel as though they know their advisor on a personal level. And yet at the same time, we have to really be meeting their expectations professionally. So it's all about relationship management, and it is inextricably linked to relationship marketing. So the audit starts with basically asking yourself, when was the last time you had a social interaction with your affluent client? And this is a personal social interaction. Now, we just had our Rainmaker retreat in San Diego, and one of the advisors there, a very smart advisor who's been, is being involved in the coaching, so knows what's going on, called a client on day 1, which was Thursday, and invited this affluent client to an event she was hosting, and asked the client if she could bring her specific colleague whose name she saw. So that's relationship management, relationship marketing. The client was delighted to do that and said absolutely she could bring her friend. But the kudos of all this was the following day, the advisor sharing with me and the entire group a text from this client inviting her to a major event where power players are, that she's going to personally introduce her around. So the reciprocation was immediate. So this social interaction is for real. It is really relationship management, relationship marketing, big time. Now, when you think about it, as far as social interaction, you need to be dealing with both spouses. Affluent macro shift number 1, the number 1 trend that's changed is the female of the household is a big deal. And so meeting with both spouses, not just professionally, and by the way, when you meet with both of them professionally, it's very, very important to connect with the female as well as the male. And at the social event, and here we had a situation where an advisor did everything right, invited husband and wife to a nice, fun social event, had guests attend the event, but neglected to connect and spend time with the female of one of the relationships, one of the clients. And the female of the household, the client, came up to the advisor and basically said, I'm very hurt that you didn't spend have the time to even talk to me at this event. So that's just dumb, but the idea here is be very, very cognizant of both spouses, be very cognizant of meeting and interacting with them. You can use a personal phone call, and face-to-face, by the way, is the number 1 communication medium that the affluent really want in this digital age. Now you come to the surprise and delight gift. When was the last time you surprised and delighted your client? This should be an agenda item at every team meeting. Are there any surprise and delight opportunities? Has anything happened? Has any child graduated or, won a sports award or won honors for something? Not just birthdays necessarily. Have you seen any of their pets, a framed picture of a pet? But this, again, engages the law of reciprocity. It personalizes the relationship, and it is really an impact factor. And then connecting. When was the last time you offered to connect them? In other words, we're seeing right now that elite advisors are truly connectors. They're connectors with their top 25 clients. They, if they need any type of a resource, not simply an accountant, not simply an estate planner, but, if they need somebody, to paint their house, if they need a good plumber, a good electrician, so you really want to think of yourself as a connector, offer services, really be in tune to what your clients need. And if you sort of are, the connector within these services, make no mistake about it. Again, the law of reciprocity kicks in. Your clients are very, very welcoming in connecting you. Now, the power of momentary touches. This is fascinating to us. We have new data, on the touch points that advisors have. We talk about a touch. We're talking about a hug, maybe a pat on the back, not just a handshake. But at the University of California in Berkeley, in the New York Times a couple years ago, there's an article about a study that was done. And what they have found, the power of touch is so strong that if a professor or a teacher just gave a pat on the back to a student in class, it increased, it doubled the probability that this student would interact and volunteer. Now, for doctors, a sympathetic touch from a doctor, at a physical or at a doctor's visit, basically the patients responded. They considered their time double that they spent with that doctor. In other words, if they were there for a 10-minute visit and that doctor gave them a sympathetic touch on the back or on the shoulder, they thought they were there for 20 minutes with that doctor. So it releases a hormone, a very relaxing, stress-freeing hormone, the physical touch. And it also negates the negative stress hormone. So think about this. I'm not saying go around and hug all your clients, but there again, the power of momentary touches is strong. So a pat on the back, a little encouraging pat on the arm, and yes, give a hug if you can. By the way, we, in our most recent data that we haven't publicized yet, the Affluent are telling us 20% of them have been hugged by their financial advisor. Think about that. Now, as far as momentary touches, think about their kids. Do you know the kids' names of your affluent clients? I'll tell you this: the affluent, don't know the names of their advisors' kids. So there's no reciprocity and communication there, and it seems like just about 50% of advisors know the names of their kids. Then what about the grandkids? Now, and here's a situation. This is how powerful it is. Here's an advisor who connected with his clients personally on Facebook. This is strictly personal, and saw that one of his affluent clients had a new grandchild. So he got the name of that grandchild. He grabbed the picture of that baby. Then he went online and found a site that made custom mugs, and he had custom mugs with the picture of the grandbaby on the mugs, and he gave the mugs to that affluent client at their upcoming review. Now think about that. That is powerful. Now, what do you think the odds are when that advisor asks that client, hey, could you introduce me to your neighbor or to your friend or to your colleague? What do you think the response is going to be? My bet is going to be absolutely. They're going to figure out how to make it happen. The buzz factor is off the chart. And how about the name of their pets? I love this photo. And here's an advisor again that has a client who's got a Chihuahua. This guy loves his Chihuahua and always makes a joke because he's got a place in Hawaii. He lives in LA, and his wife doesn't like to fly, so she never goes with him to Hawaii. And his joke is, my Chihuahua loves me more than my wife. My Chihuahua, I forget the dog's name. Let's say Mickey likes to go to Hawaii with me, so I take Mickey. So the advisor, just dumb like a fox, is stumbling through, Barnes and Nobles and sees a calendar of Chihuahuas, all dressed in different iterations like this, and buys his calendar, drops it off, gives it to his client. The client goes nuts. The client is insisting now he come with the advisor and Mickey the Chihuahua to Hawaii. And obviously this advisor has spheres of influence in Los Angeles and Hawaii. I mean, pets are a big deal with today's affluent. Now, are you meeting the expectations of today's affluent? You see, doing good business now professionally is a hygiene factor. These service commandments, and you can get these in a PDF file, you just email us after this webinar and we will send them out to you. And these, you sit down with your clients and you go through these commandments. And they're right out of our research. And you say, we're here to service you. We want to make absolutely certain that we're meeting your expectations. These are criteria that were garnered from by the Oechsli Institute with research of affluent investors, what was important to them in their relationship with a financial advisor. We want to make sure, A, this is important to you, and B, that we're meeting your expectations with every one of these 14. Because you see, meeting expectations professionally is assumed now. It's not a value proposition. It's a hygiene factor. We expect this computer webinar to work. We're not excited the fact that it's working. We expect it to work. It's a hygiene factor. So developing the relationship on a personal side is half the equation. That's the yin. The yang is absolutely making certain that you're a buttoned-down professional and you're meeting these expectations, exceeding these expectations, and there'll be no turning back because these top 25 clients truly are your acres of diamonds.